seems like retail media is at every conference. It's in every conversation, engagement. And I think as we look at an industry that is transforming, in some cases by choice, and in some cases not by choice, but all the while happening, retail media has become a way to bolster the bottom line. And as companies look to sort of right size, and we've talked a bit about the org of the future, and we've talked about where jobs are heading. We've talked about how companies are rationalizing outsourced roles versus in-house roles. And we talked about layoffs, and we'll talk a bit about some of that news this week. Retail media is sort of an easy land grab, right? In the sense that people have they have real estate. It's available. It's getting eyeballs, and advertising is and has been a major business in the world for, I heard something yesterday that I can't remember, but it's really incredible as to what a pillar it is. So if I'm Amazon, who really largely brought it to bear, and I have all this traffic and I have all these people looking for a leg up, I can effectively create a retail media network. And so I think what's happening though, as the Macy's and others, the Kohl's get into the game, it becomes like a quid pro quo, which is to say, brand X, if you want to sort of be prioritized, oh yeah, and if you want a bigger buy, we have an opportunity, and I'll put air quotes, opportunity for you. And, for me, I think what makes me sort of me, I grew up as a merchant. I grew up at Saks. I basically was a buyer, and I think understanding product was really important. And so in my days at Saks, we, at the end of the season, we tallied our markdowns, and we went to our vendors and said, hey, like, here's your bill, pay your bill. Right. And we did a lot of things that, ultimately in 2005, there were executives fired at Saks. There's an article in Times about it if you Google it. And by the way, Mark Metrick, who's the head of Saks, we grew up together. I think he's a brilliant, honorable person. So this is long ago. I love him. He's a really smart guy, so I'll qualify that. But what I'd say is, like, we did a lot of things that basically it was like built into the pricing, and people paid rent. And so I guess long story short is that's what retail media is today as I see it. It's a pay to play land grab and a necessity. You know who ultimately pays for it, Jess?
The consumer.
The consumer. So thus I'd say it's sort of the moment, and it's happening, but I think that it is a short-term occurrence that will have some repercussions as we look at inflation, we look at pricing, we look at consumer debt, we look at pricing that needs to get better, not worse, and who ultimately pays for it and how these businesses work.
Yeah, so but this is the drug that I feel like, though, this is the drug that the people get hooked on, right? Like, this is the injection of the fueling the profitability that people can't let go of. I mean, eBay tried it, got hooked on it in different ways. You have Amazon now. It's one of the growth stories. You have Etsy in their earnings calls. It's one of the only things that's growing. And I do believe that it's not going to be short term because it's just so addictive. And at some point, it will pass down to the consumer. But if the consumer has backlash, it's not coming back to retail media. It's just too much ingrained into the P&Ls in this state.
So in this case, I actually will agree with you. I think that it is not short term. Let me clarify what I'm saying. Yeah. Retail media is good in the sense that if people, Simon Malls, Macy's, Target, Walmart, are creating environments where people want to go, and a person inside or outside of their sort of ecosystem wants to leverage that opportunity, there's a model that says that they should pay for that. Yeah. And I think that that's healthy. No, not dissimilar to Facebook, right? That is Facebook and Google.
Sure.
And the pandemic and the sort of growth of digital has driven those prices up to a place where, honestly, a lot of small businesses, people I work with, are trying to think of alternative ways. What I would say is that retail media is not a silver bullet. Unhealthy businesses are unhealthy businesses. And as they tout retail media, they're going out to their vendor community and saying, hey, we need you to give us 10% back of purchases in the form of retail media. it's not sustainable. And I guess
I
that
totally agree with that. Yes.
right.
Yes,
So I think it should
totally
be viewed as like a channel. It should be attributed in Google Analytics, which it's a whole nother conversation about everyone hates GA4. What were you thinking, Google? But it should be its own source of traffic. It should be thought of as such and utilized as such.